Good evening and welcome to the Florissant City Council meeting for October 9th, 2023. I would ask you all to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Shildroff?
Here.
O'Donnell?
Here.
Pagano? Parson? Siam? Harris? Manganelli? Egan?
Here.
Caputa?
Let the record reflect that a quorum is present. Next item on the agenda, we had a very horrific weekend in the Middle East with at least 9 Americans losing their lives and thousands of civilians also being murdered in a terrorist attack. I ask that we take a moment of silence to remember those who are impacted, such as my mother-in-law, who was on a religious pilgrimage. We were able to get her to Jordan late last night, and so she's out of Israel, but it's still going to be a long trip home. But let's keep those impacted by this horrific series of events in a quick prayer in our hearts, please. Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the meeting minutes of September 25th, 2023? Hearing none, Mr. Caputa makes a motion to approve the minutes that is seconded by Mr. Shildroff. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the minutes shall be approved. The next item on the agenda is a hearing from citizens. This is a time to speak to the council on any issue not necessarily on the agenda for 3 minutes. This is not a question and answer period. If you would like to speak to a council member or the mayor, we would ask that you would stay until after the meeting and contact us directly. If you are here to speak on a public hearing, please wait and speak when that public hearing is announced. If you are here to speak on the Coke Park, the series of bills that is associated with Coke Park, you have 2 options. You can speak right now at this hearing from citizens. In order to do so, we would ask you to go to the side of the room and get a card off the table, as many have done. Fill it out and hand it to Mr. Hessel, and we will call on you at the appropriate time. Your second option is you can wait until the bill comes up for the final reading, at which point in time you would be notified to come up and speak. But we ask that you don't speak at both the hearing from citizens and at the final reading. I ask that you don't speak at both, as I said. We also ask that you don't repeat your thoughts. We ask that you get your thoughts concise and clearly and present them to the council. The proceeding tonight will be somewhat different from the public hearing that we had just a few weeks ago. At that hearing, we were very generous in allowing people to speak 2 and 3 and 4, and I think even 5 times. In the past 2 weeks, I myself have answered questions from citizens, both pro and against this series of bills. Tonight, we hope all your questions have been asked. We ask that you don't filibuster, and we ask that if someone is speaking that you don't agree with, that we don't catcall and shout out and interrupt them while they're trying to get their point across. It's important to remember that this council follows Robert's rules. And in Robert's rules, if any member of the council feels that the dialogue has lost its fruitfulness or this discourse has set in, they can call for the question. If the question is called for, I must stop the proceedings and take the vote. Hopefully, we can all have a good evening and get our opinions out there and be civil with each other. Thank you very much. Ellen Matley, please come forward and state your name for the record. Ellen Matley. One moment, Ellen.
Sure.
And your microphone's on. Good evening, Ellen.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm here because I don't have enough information about this land swap. Precisely, what is the assessed valuation of the Coke Park land and the land that is by Sunset Park? I haven't heard anything about that, the valuation of it, because they're two very, very different properties. And I want to make sure that I have enough information.
Ellen, a lot of this was discussed at the public hearing last week. Okay. Mr. Hessel, could I ask you just to give a quick assessment into the assessment or lack thereof, sir?
Sure. As I've tried to explain on several occasions, this is not the sale of property. You get an appraisal. We've all gotten appraisals when you want to sell property or you want to buy property. This is not the sale of property. This is a land swap. So getting an assessment or appraisal of property doesn't fit this situation because it's not about how much money is going to be transferred as part of this transaction. To the contrary, the staff, the administration, and the city council is to determine, let me back up. In all instances, the city needs to make sure that it is receiving fair market value for any property that it is disposing of or transferring. Mm-hmm. In this case, the staff, the administration, the mayor, and the city council have to make a determination about whether or not, in their opinion, the property, which I'll refer to as the Love property, is better or worse or the same as Coke Park from a recreational standpoint. Not from anything else, but from a recreational standpoint. And there was presentations, testimony at the last public hearing, that in staff's opinion, that the Love property offers many more amenities than we can get from the Coke Park property. That's not demeaning to the Coke Park property. They're different. So the job of this city council ultimately is for this body to determine, not based upon cash value, because that's not what's involved. It's based upon a land swap in which you determine is, and I apologize for repeating, but I want to make sure everybody gets it, is the Love property from a recreational standpoint better, worse, or the same as the Coke Park property? That's the issue.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Susan Wessel. Good evening. Just state your name again, please.
Good evening. My name is Susan Wessel. I'm here to voice my strong opposition to the idea of constructing homes on our park property. While I understand that there may be perceived benefits to such a proposal, I firmly believe that the costs to our community and the environment would far outweigh any gains. Our parks are vital green spaces that provide us with a respite from the hustle and bustle of urban life. Placing homes on park property would diminish the quality of life for all residents. It would drastically change the landscape of our neighborhood. Our neighborhood's charm and unique identity would be sacrificed for the sake of profit. Parks have an undeniable positive impact on property values and surrounding areas. They enhance the desirability of our neighborhoods, making them more attractive to prospective residents and thereby increasing property values. Sacrificing our parks for financial gain could ultimately devalue our own home. We must consider the issue of traffic congestion and infrastructure strain. Adding new housing to park property would result in increased traffic, putting additional stress on our already overburdened roads. It will lead to longer commutes, decreased air quality, and lower overall quality of life for our residents. We should be committed to preserving our parks, not compromising them for the sake of development. While the idea of constructing homes on park property may seem enticing, from a financial perspective, we must remember that the true value of our parks cannot be measured solely in monetary terms. They are essential for our physical and mental well-being, for the health of our ecosystem, and for the long-term prosperity of our community. Let us not sacrifice these invaluable assets for short or long-term gains. Instead, let us preserve our parks for the enjoyment and benefit of current and future generations. As of last night at approximately 6 p.m., there were 388 homes for sale on Realtor.com in Florissant. 58 of them were over $250,000. Let's fill those. Let's fill those homes. Not to mention the Love property that are getting how many? 80, 90 homes built there. I urge our local officials to listen to the concerns of the residents who elected them to represent our interests.
Ms. Wessel, I'm sorry, your 3 minutes is up. I apologize.
Okay, I only have one more sentence.
I'm sorry, ma'am. You can get it. Thank you, Ms. Wessel. Martin Payne. Good evening, Mr. Payne.
How are
Please.
you?
I'm good. Please state your name, please.
Martin Payne. I've got one simple question, to be completely candid. We didn't realize that this had been in the works over the course of the past year. And I just wonder, why can't it be put to the vote on a ballot?
Fair question.
I guess I'm not going to get an answer, huh? It doesn't seem unreasonable. All right, then. Guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Andrew Podleski. Good evening, sir. Just state your name for the record. I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I'm Andrew Podleski, and I would like to voice my disapproval of this. This is the worst thing since the debacle of Florissant buying the sinkhole of a golf course back in 25 years ago. The other thing that in the paper, the mayor said that we need homes like this. These homes could be $2 million. It doesn't do anything for Florissant because we don't have a real estate tax. Now, we have 52,000 people, so if you build 100 homes, maybe there's another 400 people in the population. That makes us a little over 52,000. We're a pool city for taxes, which means it's based on population. This is not going to do much for building the population of Florissant. And as the lady pointed out, there's a lot of homes for sale. I don't know who you think is going to buy these homes, but I cannot imagine that a lot of people would want to live that part of Florissant and down into the valley and whatever. The other thing is we have, I'm sorry. The property that you're supposedly getting from Mr. McBride, you'd have to be a mountain goat to utilize it. Sunset Park may be the biggest park in Florissant, but it's very inaccessible for most people. It's so steep, and if you added these mountain goat trails down there, nobody's going to use them. I mean, very few people. The average age in Florissant is almost 38 years old. So I don't know who you think is going to use this, but I don't see it being the average citizen. And we have, there is no precedent for a city doing this, to give up property that's parked. If you don't want to do something with it now, leave it fallow and come back in 10 years, 15 years, and come up with something like a skateboard park or maybe some basketball courts. We don't have those now. So perhaps you should reconsider this. My personal view is that you guys have already decided you're going to do this, so it really doesn't make any difference, but I would just want to protest what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valesky. Sandy Meyer. Good evening, Ms. Meyer. Just state your name for the record. I'd appreciate it.
Good evening, Sandy Meyer. I agree that I believe this is already a done deal. So I would like to propose that our city requires any new construction, including but not limited to that which is planned for current green space, to be built green, to include permeable sidewalks and roadways, rain gardens with native plantings, and then any new developments or construction in currently wooded areas be required to maintain a minimum of 25% of the existing trees.
Thank you, ma'am. Brian Wilson. Good evening, Mr. Wilson. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Brian Wilson. Given the fact today that we saw Traco working over off Malamphy Road to do some exploratory work, I kind of feel like this deal might already be done. I'm sorry to beat a dead horse, and I won't go through the figures too deep, but if I do the math right, with what was in the Post-Dispatch today, it seems like it would be a net loss of about $439,000 for the land swap for the taxpayers. Also, in the article today in the paper, I was curious if there was any other developers that were brought in, talked to, any other deals. I know it said it's a behind closed doors thing, but I'm just curious if T.R. Hughes or Lombardo or anybody else was in on the negotiations of maybe doing a development there, or if it was just McBride. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Mary Michelle. Mary Michelle.
Good evening, Mayor Lowry and the council members. I just want to reiterate, rezoning Cook Park to residential is A, wrong, B, unfair, and C, the city of Florissant has been sneaky and very silent about this. They haven't been transparent. On your agenda items 2 weeks ago, instead of stating Coke Park rezone residential, it states 2300 Charbonnier Road. Who would know what that is? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. Going forward, the city of Florissant needs to be more transparent. We pay the taxes. The citizens need to have a vote on this. It's unprecedented. We pay the taxes. We should vote. Additionally, I don't know why something of this proposal was not shared with the residents, the 53,000 residents of Florissant. It could easily have been done. You could have put a sign out in front of City Hall. You could have put a banner at Coke Park stating, coming soon, disruption of 30-plus acres to build homes. You also could have put it on your Florissant website to let the citizens know. People don't know. You need to be transparent going forward. And to be honest, this is just wrong. It's unfair. We pay the taxes. The citizens need to have their voices heard, and this should be something that should go to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Michelle. Kathy Wilson. Good evening. You'll state your name for record, please.
Kathy Wilson. Mr. Hessel may believe that the value of those properties are based on recreational use, but my taxes aren't. My taxes are based on cash the last time I checked. I keep hearing from you all that Coke Park is not used. It's just not utilized. But why haven't you done more to make it utilized? You've done nothing. You've let that property sit. Florissant residents have been paying for 17 years into a special tax increase into the Parks and Recreation Proposition A, named Special Tax Proposition A. Florissant residents approved it and trusted you to use the money, yet you've done nothing to enhance that part of Coke Park. What has the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board been doing? I haven't seen any suggestion to enhance that part of Coke Park. What has Ward 2 been doing? He has not done anything to advocate for those of us that live in Ward 2 to enhance that part of Coke Park. You've let it sit, and now you tell us it's unused, therefore we need a subdivision. It seems to me that you're handing McBride Coke Park on a silver platter. Those two pieces of property are not equal at all. Why are you giving McBride, putting the business interests of McBride ahead of the taxpayers in Florissant? Make no mistake, John Eilerman, the chairman of the board of McBride, doesn't live in Florissant. John Eilerman makes money in Florissant. Don't confuse those two. All of the goals that you say you want to achieve, increase tax revenue, all of those could be achieved with those 90 houses. You don't have to put houses in Coke Park. You've got this development off of next to Marygrove, off of Malamphy Road, 90 new homes. Why do you need homes in Coke? Why do you have to take the park? Lastly, when I was in your office, Mayor, Patrick Mulcahy was in there. You said to me, and I quote, "If the citizens of Florissant don't want this, we won't do it." Well, Mr. Mayor, clearly, based on what's come up here before, with limited knowledge, because most of Florissant doesn't know yet. This has just been 2 weeks. Clearly, the citizens of Florissant do not want, we the people, do not want a subdivision in Coke Park.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Jerry Petty. Good evening, sir. If you'll state your name for the record, I'd appreciate it.
My name is Jerry Petty. I think you all know me. I've been a resident here for almost 60 years, from James J. Egan all the way to Mayor Lowry here, and participated in a lot of civic duties in a Board of Adjustment for Bob Laurie and other mayors too. The residents of Florissant have loved this park for 60 years. This proposal planned to build McBride subdivision over 108 homes on 30 acres of Coke Park is just unprecedented. Swapping Florissant Park with a builder, we the people say no to the rezoning. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to take this flyer to the Florissant Festival. I went up and down St. Francois and talked to over 100 people in the booths, almost all of them Florissant residents, and this was a heated topic. And they opposed it in the opposition of all those 100-plus people I talked to for over 3 hours. I only had one yes for that whole plan. And that's where we're at with this. The residents do not want this project to take our park away. We love Coke Park. Stand up and cheer.
Thank you, sir. Zach? McDonald or McFarland? I'm sorry.
McMichael. I'll wait until the final reading, if that's okay.
Absolutely, Mr. McMichael. Thank you very much. James Trout. James Trout. James Trent? Not here. Okay. Before we close the hearing from citizens, is there anyone else who wants to speak at this time? Can you come up forward, fill a card out, and hand it to the city attorney, please? If there's anyone else who wishes to speak at this time, I would ask you to fill a card out so we can get you before we move on the agenda. If you give it to this gentleman right here, thank you. Thank you. Come on up, ma'am. I'll call your name here in just a second. When it comes down, you can state your name for the record. All right, Sarah Wilson.
Correct. Sarah Wilson. I just have a question. I'm opposing the development at Coke Park, but you mentioned that we're not talking appraisal values at all. So can you define what recreational value is? Because what you may think is recreational value to you may not be the same to me. So how can we define that?
I don't define it. At the last hearing, you had a number of people, including Patrick Mulcahy, who described the recreational value associated with these properties. And can reasonable people disagree as to which property is more valuable? Sure.
Right, but that's
what staff does. They bring information to the city council, and the city council, they make that decision.
so they're determining the recreational value, not the citizens who utilize the park.
Again, it's not my job to debate this with you, but
I'm just asking, what is the definition of
Mr.
recreational
Hessel,
value then?
If you are going to continue speaking, please use your microphone. And
Sorry about that.
I believe Mr. Hessel has answered the question. As I said, this is not a debate, ma'am. If you have a statement,
Right.
please go ahead and make it.
No, I'm asking, what is the definition of recreational value?
I
is that
guess
defined?
each person, it's their own
So it's an opinion?
definition. Absolutely.
Okay.
Mr. Hessel stated it was an opinion.
just
Okay.
as appraisal values are opinions to determine how
Those
much
are-
property is worth, those are opinions. I've hired appraisals for 40 years.
Sure, but
Those
you're
are opinions.
comparing a number to a
That's
number.
correct. So in this case, they're going to compare, and we have staff who are knowledgeable about this, who are making recommendations, and their analysis, the comparison is that they favor Love property over Coke Park.
Okay, so the staff who is making the opinion.
Again, I'm
is
not
this-
going to
I'm
debate
asking
this
a
with you.
question. I'm
You're not
a
asking questions.
No,
You-
can I finish?
Ma'am,
Can I finish?
will you make your statement? I said earlier, this is not a question and answer period. We allowed that last time.
Okay, well then I'll
at the
come back
public
and
hearing.
ask my questions, then that's fine. If you're not going to answer my questions, I'll come back and ask when there's the question and answer period. Is that acceptable?
Thank you very much, ma'am. You still have a minute, 13 seconds to talk to us. Andrew Lococo. Sir, just state your name for the record. I'd appreciate it.
Sure. My name is Andrew Lococo, born and raised in Florissant. Love the community, and I love Coke Park, love St. Ferdinand, right? We use the baseball fields all the time with my kids. And as my family was growing, I have 3 kids, 14, 12, and 7. And we had opportunities, right? Where do we want to go? But we were looking for a larger house. So then a smaller ranch. So we ended up in Riverwood Place, which we actually at the time thought we were in Florissant. We were young and went to JFK to get our resident card, and you don't live in Florissant. We're Florissant, Missouri 63031 mailing. So we realized, okay, we're in Hazelwood. Well, we wanted to be in Florissant. But we were struggling to find a house, a 4-bedroom, 2,000 plus square feet house in the city limits. So I am in favor of this development because it gives these younger families an opportunity to get that house that they're looking for and stay in Florissant or stay in North County instead of moving across, to St. Peter's or Wentzville. So, I mean, I understand other people, the opposition. I feel like that part of Coke Park has, really haven't. I can't say I've been back and have used that property over my 42 years, in the area. So, to see this development, I would be encouraged, and I think it's a good thing. And for me, I love this community. I want to stay here. I want to see new families come in. I want to see the community continue to grow and flourish. So, and until new developments like this are how we can do that. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate the time.
Jim Hunziker. Good evening, sir. If you'd state your name, please.
Jim Hunziker. Hi. I'm opposed to the park build. I live right across the street from the entrance of the park. From the entrance of the permissible future
Sir, can you talk to the mic so we can hear you, please?
I live right across the street from the future entrance of the homes in the back of St. Park, or the back of St. Coke Park. Excuse me. I feel this is not necessary. Not in the back of Coke Park. You got Dunnigan Park. Hey, nothing happens at Dunnigan Park. Put some money over that direction. Put some money on the east side of James Egan Center. Nothing happens over there. Tear that airplane down. Build homes over there. It fits right in. I mean, it's housing with housing. Schools right across the street. Easy access to the highway. Back to Coke Park. If you guys add that trail, that's going to bring Pleasant Hollow to my back door. That's not cool. You guys know what Pleasant Hollow is. This corner, it's right in that corner of that. It's right across the street from the park. I feel that'll be an intersection before at nighttime. The people will be using that constantly. You're going to make a 10-foot path. That's wide enough for a car. They can be trucking back and forth there all night, doing all kinds of bad stuff. It's just a bad idea. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is correspondence. The council received a email letter from State Representative Gretchen Bankert this afternoon in support of Coke Park development. I will make a motion to accept that and enter it into the permanent record. Seconded by Mr. Shildroff. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any correspondence shall be entered into the permanent record. Next item on the agenda, public hearings. Public hearing 23-10-025.
In accordance with Section 405-125 of the Florissant Zoning Code, a public hearing will be held by the City Council of Florissant, Missouri, in the council chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, October 9th at 7 p.m. on the following proposition: to authorize a special use permit for a sit-down carry-out coffee shop in an existing B3 extensive business district for the property located at 2188 North Waterford Latte Lounge. Citizens will have an opportunity to be heard. Anyone with special needs should contact City Clerk at least 5 days before such public hearing by calling 839-7630 or email cityclerk@florissantmo.com.
Is the petitioner present? Good evening, Ms. Harvey. If you'll come and state your name for the record, please.
Good evening, Nishan Harvey.
Good to see you again, ma'am. And why don't you go ahead and tell us about your project?
Yes, so we currently occupy 2190. 2188 used to be an insurance company that has now relocated. And so in order to allow for the citizens to come in, be able to sit down a little bit longer, complete some work, we would like to make an opening between 2188 and 2190 to allow for more comfortable seating.
Mr. Siam.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for coming tonight, Ms. Harvey. I was just going to say I don't have any questions. It seems pretty straightforward to me, but it's my understanding that the city didn't process this as diligently or as quickly as it normally does, so I'm just willing to support 3 readings tonight to just take care of it. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Siam. Ms. Harvey, your business is essentially going to stay the same. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
Your business model is essentially going to stay the same, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Not seeing any further questions or comments from the council, I would ask before we move to close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience who would like to make comment? You see none, Mr. Siam makes a motion to close this public hearing. That is seconded by Mr. Caputa. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you and good luck, Ms. Harvey.
Thank you so much.
Public hearing number 23-010-026.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Florissant will hold a public hearing on the proposed budget for the City of Florissant, including the General Revenue Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, Park Improvement Fund, Street Improvement Fund, Sewer Lateral Fund, Property Maintenance Fund, and Public Safety Fund for the fiscal year beginning December 1, 2023, in the Council Chambers at 955 Rue St. Francois on Monday, October 9, 2023 at 7 p.m. All interested persons are invited to attend the public hearing and may present their views concerning the proposed budget. Anyone with special needs should contact the city clerk at least 5 days before said public hearing by calling 839-7630 or email cityclerk@florissantmo.com.
Good evening. I believe our finance director is here this evening. If you'll step forward, ma'am, and state your name for the record and for those who don't know you.
Yes, I'm Kimberly Johnson, Finance Director for City of Florissant.
Good evening, Ms. Johnson. The floor
Good
is
evening.
yours. If you'll speak into the mic, I would appreciate it.
Yes, I'm here to submit to the council the FY24 budget, proposed budget.
I would make note that we had our budget hearing on Saturday, and the council reviewed each item on the budget with the various department heads and with Ms. Johnson. Is there any questions from the council? Any comments from the council? Before we close this public hearing, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the public hearing? Not seeing any, I will make a motion to close this public hearing. That is seconded by Mr. Siam. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Ms. Johnson, and the public hearing shall be closed. Next item on the agenda, old business. I would remind you that the first three bills are not in consideration for Coke Park. I'm just reminding you that now. Bill number 9910. Mr. O'Donnell moves for a second reading. That is seconded by Ms. Pagano. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance approving the final plat of Lot 12 of St. Ferdinand Commons for the property located at 3200 North Highway 67 in existing B3 Extensive Business District.
Councilman O'Donnell moves for a third reading. That is seconded by Mr. Parson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance approving the final plat of Lot 12 of St. Ferdinand Commons for the property located at 3200 North Highway 67 in an existing B3 Extensive Business District.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth? Yes. O'Donnell? Yes. Pagano? Yes. Parson? Yes. Siam? Yes. Harris? Yes. Manganelli? Yes. Egan?
Yes.
Caputa?
Yes. Bill number 9910 passes and becomes ordinance number 8917. Bill number 9911. Councilman Siam makes a motion for a second reading that is seconded by Mr. Harris. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance to rezone the property located at 3200 North Highway 67 from B3 Extensive Business District to B5 Planned Commercial District for All True Credit Union with attached drive-through.
Councilman Siam makes a motion for a third reading. That is seconded by Mr. Manganelli. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance to rezone the property located at 3200 North Highway 67 from B3 Extensive Business District to B5 Planned Commercial District for All True Credit Union with attached drive-through.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth. Yes. O'Donnell. Yes. Pagano. Parson. Yes. Cyan. Yes. Harris. Yes. Meganelli. Yes. Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Bill number 9911 passes and becomes ordinance number 8918. Substitute Bill number 9912. Councilman O'Donnell moves to accept Substitute Bill number 9912. That is seconded by myself. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Councilman O'Donnell moves for a second reading. That is seconded by Mr. Harris. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance to authorize a special use permit to Jorville LLC to allow for a vehicle and RV storage establishment in a B3 extensive business district located at number 2, Mankey Place.
Councilman O'Donnell moves for a third reading. That is seconded by Ms. Pagano. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance to authorize a special use permit to Jorville LLC to allow for a vehicle and RV storage establishment in a B3 extensive business district located at number 2, Mankey Place.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this bill? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth. Yes. O'Donnell. Yes. Pagano. Yes. Parson. Yes. Cyan. Yes. Harris. Yes. Manganelli. Yes. Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Substitute Bill number 9912 passes and becomes ordinance number 8919. Bill number 9915. Good luck, thank you. Bill, we've already passed the ordinance, sir.
I would just like to thank everyone.
Oh.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
You want to argue? We can. Thank you very much. Bill number 9915. I will make a motion for a second reading. That is seconded by Mr. Manganelli. Discussion. Ms. Pagano?
Yes, thank you. Since the last meeting and hearing all of you speak, I was sort of taken aback with the transparency and an email today with behind closed doors. So I had talked to our city attorney after the last meeting and again tonight to please explain how things are done up here so the people know that we're not sneaky or taking kickbacks or whatever is in these emails and comments that I've heard, because I have worked with these people for many, many years, and I, for one, do not appreciate people thinking that we're being dishonest or things like that. So, Mr. Hessel, would you please explain how the procedure works?
Thanks, Jackie. I'll do my best. And let me preface by saying that if there are complaints about the negotiations being conducted in confidence or lack of transparency as part of this transaction, those complaints can be directed to me. I've been practicing law for more than 40 years, and I'm proud to say that I've represented Florissant throughout those 40-plus years, as well as other municipalities. So I'm very comfortable in saying I know municipal law. I've also represented media clients throughout my entire career, including the Post-Dispatch, television stations, radio stations, HBO, and the list goes on. So I'm very familiar with the Sunshine Law. Those are two areas of law that I know very well. I'm also aware of the issues associated with openness and transparency. But I've also been involved in enough business transactions to know that when a city is negotiating on any kind of a transaction, but particularly for the purchase or sale of real property, or in this case, the transfer of properties, those negotiations are clearly delineated as being closed under the Sunshine Law. And they should be closed from a practical standpoint because the other party to the transaction expects those kinds of negotiations and discussions to remain confidential so they can engage in a reasonable business discussion. I advised the mayor to keep the negotiations that went on confidential. I similarly advised the city council that they should keep the negotiations confidential. However, I reminded the mayor and the city council and remind the citizens that those details do become public. They become public in the ordinary course of business, which is conducted all the time, and that is you have a notice, signs posted at the property, which took place. You then have a public hearing. Yeah, I grew up in Florissant. I'm proud to be in Florissant, but rudeness is not acceptable for the good people of Florissant. So let me just add that there were signs posted at Coke Park. I know that took place. And there was a hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission, which took place. And like all of our ordinances that are dealing with these kinds of public matters, we had a public hearing and a public debate for several hours 2 weeks ago. I'm sure that there's been exchange of a lot of information. Again, people have the opportunity, have input again this evening. So this is a very typical way and manner in which you address these kinds of transactions. Again, I stand by my advice to the City Council as well as to the Mayor that during the negotiation process, those negotiations remain confidential. And now they are open. So I hope that answers the question. I'm sure it's not going to appease everybody, but that's sort of my job as well. I just give legal advice.
Ms. Pagano, do you have any further?
No, thank you for the explanation.
There's a motion and second on a second reading. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance to amend Florissant Code of Ordinances, Title IV, Land Use, Chapter 405, Zoning Code by adding a new Title V, Planned Development Residential District, PDR.
I will make a motion for a third reading. That is seconded by Mr. Manganelli. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance to amend Florissant Code of Ordinances, Title IV, Land Use, Chapter 405, Zoning Code by adding a new Title V, Planned Development Residential District, PDR.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? If you weren't able to speak during the public hearing, during public comments, now would be the time to approach the council and make your statement. Step forward, sir. If you'd be so kind as to state your name, I'd appreciate it, sir.
My name's Guy Tinker. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good evening, Mr. Tinker.
What's before everybody here is an unprecedented move, and I just don't understand. I mean, it seems to me that the move is something, is everybody sure Florissant wants to be the one to do this first? There's no history of this being done anywhere. I can't find it anywhere. I'm not talking about in the St. Louis area or Missouri. I'm talking about I can't find it anywhere. So it's really taking parkland for a housing development is unprecedented, and I'm just not sure that, that everybody needs to be sure that they want to be the ones that do this first. Second of all, the appraisals, you've mentioned over and over again about it being recreational land. Appraisals are done all the time on land that is buildable but not built on. And that's what Coke Park is. Coke Park is buildable land. So getting an appraisal on that back 31 acres of Coke Park would be very easy. Now, if you want to talk about recreational land, that 38 acres or 48 acres, that is a trip down the bluffs to the river, that may be really difficult. It's not buildable. It's not usable for anything except for wilderness park. It could be used for park. I don't disagree with that. And then when it was brought up at the last meeting about the traffic study, that was kind of blown through very quickly, but they said that the roads that are going to be affected work well and will continue to work well after this traffic is added. I don't know how many people here or here live on the west side of Florissant, but those roads don't work well. They absolutely do not work well. Charbonnier can be backed up 70, 80 cars deep during rush hour trying to get onto Howdershell, and Howdershell can be that big of a mess at Charbonnier during rush hour, so they don't work well. There's some issues, and it continues down the road to Lindsay. It frees up usually by the time it gets to Malamphy, but there's issues coming out of there. So the traffic study, it was blown through, but I don't remember who did it or what the real study was. They just said it works good and it's going to continue to work good. We're being asked to trust a lot of stuff that doesn't seem documented. So I'm just in opposition to this project, and I hope that everybody thinks it through real good.
Thank you, Mr. Tinker. Good evening, sir. Just state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Mark Bellman. Thank you very much to the council members, mayor, city
Mr.
clerk.
Bellman, could you talk in the microphone or adjust it so we can hear you, sir? Thank you.
As well as the counselor. Most of the council members were not on the council and subsequently back in the day. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson. The only one that was on the council back then was Mr. Schildroff, who will probably remember some of this. Sunset Park originated in 1961 through the donations of Joe and Marie Deloge. They donated 26.7 acres of land to the city. There were many concerns from the citizens at that time. They wrote the council and the mayor about their concerns of an environmental impact that this park would cause. Of course, today, it is 90 acres with improvements and no environmental impact. Around 1978, under then Mayor Egan, he authorized a planning study for Sunset Park, which was utilized, unfortunately, wound up sitting on a shelf until 2004. There was no money, there was no vision at that time. Then in 2004, under Mayor Bob Lowry Sr., this 26-year-old plan was resurrected by Parks Director Ron Veach, who presented it to Lowry Sr. Lowry fell in love with the plan, and he started his own vision. The Economic Development Director, Bob Russell, Building Director Lou Geralds, and City Engineer and Councilman Tim Lee were brought into the discussion of Lowry's vision. In 2005, Councilman Tim Lee suggested to Lowry to recruit the community, residents, and business leaders to create a park foundation. Don Zyken became treasurer. Diana Weiniger became secretary. Tim Lee became vice president, and myself, Mark Bellman, became president. We opened up a 501c3 nonprofit organization called the Florissant Parks Foundation. Our sole purpose as volunteers was to raise money through donations, secure grants, and recruit volunteers to create a community nature lodge and develop Sunset Park to become the jewel of North County. We volunteers raised $175,000 in cash, and we secured $600,000 in grants with cooperation with the city of Florissant. I personally donated construction and development and was the project manager that overseen the completion of the Nature Lodge. There were many donors, such as the union trades that supplied manpower, as well as the Florissant Rotary Club. Today, proudly hanging on the wall of the Nature Lodge is all of those who donated. From 2005 until 2007, there were 2 years of planning and preparation, as well as funds raised in obtaining commitments. In 2007, we finally were able to break ground. On April 18th, 2009, 2 months before I found out my wife had terminal cancer, we had the grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony with Bob Lowry Sr., who announced at that opening, unbeknown to any of us, his way of naming the Nature Lodge, Bellman-Zyken Nature Lodge. There's a city ordinance that states that, July 13th, 2009. The Nature Lodge was proposed to have many uses: educational classroom businesses, meeting space, school field trips, scouting activities, and private rentals, to name a few. That has all taken place. Future ideas for the park also had many enthusiastic organizations expressing interest: the Missouri Conservation Department, the Missouri Botanical Garden, Ameren UE, UMSL, and the Corps of Engineers, expressing potential use as a boat marina, fuel port, restaurant, and stores. But all of these ideas take cultivating and a leader with vision. It was also estimated to provide all of this expansion that it would take $3 billion. A publisher, as published in the Post-Dispatch, made a quote: "Our vision and goal is to make this a destination for the city of Florissant. We know to do that, it will take more than a nature lodge." Don Zyken, 2013. On June 11th, 2013, the foundation made a presentation to the City Council and presented Mayor Tom Snyder with the remaining funds of the foundation's coffers of over $10,000. The foundation provided a list of suggestions to help enhance the Bellman-Zyken Nature Lodge at that time as well. The mayor, Tom Snyder, was quoted at the presentation: "Now it is the city's responsibility to share the original dream with our residents." Shortly thereafter, the Park Foundation terminated its 501c3 status. We were no longer needed. For over 8 years, we board members were nothing more than volunteers that took the initiative to get involved on our own time, on our own dime, to see a project through from start to finish. All of those who volunteered through donations in time and money also shared a vision of a bigger picture than what is there today. It has always been known, those of us who participated in this continue with the expansion of Sunset Park. I also know Greenway Trails. It has a strong presence and interest in expanding the trails, which is a huge benefit for the city of Florissant. As a side note, as well as further disclosure, because we all have to disclose things, I am a retired Florissant custom home builder and land developer. I spent 12 years as a widower, and I was fortunate to get a second chance to remarry on June 2022. Last year, I married my new wife, and we moved to Winghaven to be close to hers and my children and grandchildren. My family still has financial interest here in Florissant. I see nothing but residential development going on the other side of the river. In order for the city to stay viable and progressive, you must include new residential development in order to grow. If you do not continue to grow with new and exciting residential homes, the city will be passed up and become like other surrounding municipalities. I fully support this land swap for the expansion of Sunset Park and new residential homes to be built for first-time buyers, second-time buyers, and the younger families that want to stay in this community. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bellman. You already spoke, Ms. Wilson.
Well, since you didn't cut him off, I figure I have a little bit of extra time.
Ma'am,
I'm
I
not
don't believe
sure.
you do.
I am not sure that we need a lecture from somebody about
Wilson?
how we should choose to use Coke Park from somebody that doesn't even live in Florissant and whose latest development
Wilson?
continues to be an eyesore at the end of
Ms.
Florissant
Wilson,
Road.
you had your time.
Can I talk again at
You'll have your, you can, during the next, well, you've had your time to talk about the issue, ma'am. You had your time. He chose as Mr. Mike, in the public hearing, in the public comments, you have 3 minutes to speak. We don't have a time limit on, like Mr. McMichael has chosen to speak during the, between the third and final vote. There is no set time limit necessarily. Well, no, ma'am, you misunderstood what I said. As I stated beforehand, during the hearing for citizens, you have a period of 3 minutes to speak to the council, which everyone had. If you will let me finish, and last time I was generous, you had 5 times up here last time, correct? No. You were up here 5 times, and there were people that weren't up here from Florissant. But let me finish, ma'am. As Mr. McMichael chose, he chose to speak between the second and third and the final vote of the third reading. He will have the time he needs to speak. That is, he's not going to be cut off.
So the 3 minute doesn't apply to everybody.
It does. It applies during these hearings from citizens. It does not apply before we take the final vote. No, ma'am.
Then I'd like to speak then too.
You already spoke this evening, ma'am. I'm going to defer to legal counsel on this.
I won't take more than 3 minutes, I promise.
The City Council has been abundantly clear in the 40-plus years that I've been representing them, and that is under hearing from citizens, citizens are entitled to speak for 3 minutes. Citizens are not, when citizens are asked to comment.
Ma'am, you're hearing. He has the floor. Will you let the counselor speak, please? If you're going to talk, we all can't talk at the same time. And Mr. Hessel has the floor right now.
The council has been abundantly clear, as long as I've been affiliated with them. Again, under hearing from citizens, you're limited to 3 minutes. And you afforded everyone the opportunity to choose to speak under the category of hearing from citizens or the opportunity to speak as is permitted under our rules before the final vote. You had to choose one or the other. Mr. Bellman obviously chose the latter. Mr. McMichael chose the latter. So you don't have duplication of people coming up and repeating what they already said before. But that is the council's policy.
Yeah. Okay. We, as I feared this would happen, we have now called for the question. We've called for the question. Madam Clerk, will you please poll the council?
Childrath?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Pagano?
Yes.
Parson?
Yes.
Siam?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Manganelli?
Yes.
Egan?
Yes.
Caputa?
Yes.
Bill number 9915 passes and becomes ordinance number 8920. Bill number 9916. Councilman Manganelli makes a motion for a second reading. That is seconded by Mr. Caputa. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing approval of final plat for the property located at 2300 North Charbonneir Road.
Councilman Manganelli makes a motion for a third reading. That is seconded by myself. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing approval of a final plat for the property located at 2300 Charbonneir Road.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? Ma'am, you have the floor.
Yes,
Please-
I'm
please-
opposed to
please
the
state-
houses.
Please state your name, please.
Leslie Kaufman.
Okay. Good evening, Ms. Hoffman. Go ahead and make your statement.
Yes, I'm opposed to the houses being built on park property. I don't know how you can do some kind of a land swap. I've never heard of anything like that. You don't let people speak here. Everybody that talks, half of the people have moved out to St. Charles, further out. Why do they even talk about anything here in Florissant? You need to get rid of all the rental property. You'd have plenty of homes if you didn't, the whole place was full of rentals. Nobody comes to Florissant because the school district is terrible. You talk to everyone and they say,
Mr. Shildroff has called for the question. Madam Clerk, will you please poll the council?
What?
Ready?
Yes.
Shildroff?
Yes.
O'Donnell? Gano? Parson?
Yes.
Siam? Harris? Manganelli? Egan?
Yes.
Caputa.
Bill number 9916 passes and becomes ordinance 8921. Bill number 9917. Councilman Harris makes a motion for a second reading. That is seconded by Ms. Pagano. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing approval of final subdivision plat of the 2700 Malamphy Lane, parts of lots 1 and 2, Jane Lindsay Estate.
Councilman Harris makes a motion for a third reading. That is seconded by Mr. Shildroff. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing approval of final subdivision plat of the 2700 Malamphy Lane, parts of lots 1 and 2, Jane Lindsay Estate.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this bill? Mr. McMichael, I know you've been waiting to speak. Would you like this opportunity now, sir, before?
I was going to wait for 998.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before the final vote is taken? As I've said, we've asked for you to have decorum tonight and be civil. Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council. Hold on. We will take your statement, ma'am. I apologize. You'll state your name for the record, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jessica Birchall. Thank you. One, I wanted to, I don't know if you guys are allowed to take this or not.
We'll
Okay.
take whatever you need to hand us. You'll hand to the city attorney.
These are a list of homes that sold outside of Florissant as well, but within our school districts, both Hazelwood and Ferguson Florissant, within the last year that are over $300,000. I just wanted to show the demand that we have for a similar product. When people say that people don't want this, when people say, you know, they aren't going to do, they aren't raising their families here, it kind of hurts personally. I am. And, you know, it is still alive, and I am still volunteering, and I pour my heart and soul into this community. I spend a lot of hours giving of my time, and I love this place. And I think that we are still here, and we are still growing. And that is 167 homes that sold in the price range of this subdivision. And right now, currently active in the actual MLS in the municipality of Florissant, not Florissant the city, but in the municipality, we currently have 127 homes for sale. Above 1,500 square feet, so the kind of second level house, there are only 22 at this moment. I pulled it while we were sitting here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this bill? Ma'am, step forward and state your name. And, sir, you'll be next, please. You already spoke, ma'am. I'm sorry.
You told me I could come back because I was asking questions.
I did not. At any point in time? I did not. I said I told you we did not have a question and answer period.
I'm not asking you a question. I'm just going to state something. But you told me I could come back.
I did not. You said you had questions, ma'am, and I did not say we would have a question and answer period. Is there anyone else, sir? Sir, if you'll state your name for the record, please.
Hi, thank you. My name is Brett Birchtold. I'm going to say something personally. First off, I'm a Florissant resident. Have a business here in Florissant. We're a property investor here in Florissant as well. I want to just say thank you for considering this. This is huge for us. I am a broker, real estate broker. We've been operating here in Florissant for several years. So I'll just say personally, we're raising a family here. We have a lot of kids, and we take our kids to a lot of the things in Florissant, and we're so excited not only to have this as the things at Sunset Park with the new archery range, right, coming. We have the pools that are getting redone, so a lot of things that are coming up in Florissant that we're really, really excited about. So thank you for considering this. In addition to, on a professional side, this is one of the things that constantly comes back to, in our profession, that people just can't find those homes. Like Mr. Lococo said, Mr. Bellman had reiterated, is that in order for us to move forward, we need new development. That is a professional assessment for myself and the people in my office. Just to share a few facts with you, as Jessica just shared the current sales, but I'll say in the last 365 days, 162 properties have sold over $300,000 in Florissant, in the Ferg Floor and Hazelwood school districts, 162. Versus if you look at a similar sized city on the other side of the river with 45,000 people, we have 52,000, 469 over 300,000, right? But if you look at the total sales for the city of Florissant, 917 versus let me get my facts right here. 917 total, but 636 of those properties. Let me just make sure. I'm going to take off my glasses because I'm struggling in these older years here. Sorry about that. 162 over 300,000 in Florissant, Ferg Floor, Hazelwood school district, right? Versus 469 in the city of Wentzville. 917 properties in Florissant total versus, it says 636, but I know that's an inaccurate number. That's actually the pending and closed over the past 365 days. What I'm trying to reiterate is we actually have more homes being sold than the city of Wentzville, right, total. But out of those amounts, a very small portion of that is newer homes and anything over 300,000, right? Anytime there's been something over 300,000, over the past 365 days, only 6 of them have been expired or canceled. Out of 917 homes, only 6 over 300,000 have been canceled or expired. That means the ones that do go on market, over 300,000, actually sell because people want them so badly. So again, I'll just reiterate, in order for us to move forward, I believe that this is necessary for real estate, but people wanting to stay here. Also end with North County leads home recovery, value recovery was an article in the Post-Dispatch this year. It says, County Assessor Jake Zimmerman said the numbers show home values are especially strong in more affordable neighborhoods like those in North County, fueled by the demand for quality housing and limited inventory. So this is all public information, and they give all the within our school district, we are leading in home value appreciation. So all public information, any information that I have, of course I can give. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Is there anyone else who has not spoken yet that would like to address this bill? Good evening, ma'am. You'll step forward and state your name, please, and speak in the microphone. You might have to lower it back down.
My name is Judy Barnes. I very much oppose this, but it doesn't make any difference whether you want it or not, because they didn't get to make a choice.
Can you speak in the mic, ma'am, so we can hear you, please?
You can't take taxpayers' property away and give it to something else. They didn't have a choice. Should have been voted on, and it's not legal if it's not voted on.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this bill? And I will also mention that we did not cut off Mr. Tinker. He had as much time as he wanted because he chose to speak at this time. Is there anyone, the council had wanted to make some statements before the first bill was voted on, but the question was called for. Is there anyone on the council that would like to make a statement right now? And I'll start with Mr. Manganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a statement here. I've given this vote careful consideration. I've done much research in supporting my decision on how to vote on this development. I've listened to the residents that I've spoken with and taken their comments to heart. I have heard from residents that are for and against the development. The comments in support of the development centered around, centered around that this will be a good thing for the city. We need new houses. Comments against the development centered around the land that was proposed for us to get in trade is unusable, and you cannot walk on the property. Also, no city has ever swapped parkland for the purpose of development. And lastly, it's a park and it shouldn't be built upon. I'll first address the land proposed.
Mr. Manganelli, can you move the microphone down a little bit, please?
Thank you. I will first address the land proposed for us to receive as unusable. 2 weeks ago, I took an ATV ride on the property and found a lot of the land to be flat down by the river, and there were great views of the Missouri River that you can't experience from Coke Park, or you can't experience without this property. I saw a lot of the walking and hiking trails from down below. Today, I decided to take a hike from above. And I got the opportunity today to walk on some of the trails from above. The trails are perfect for the beginner to the advanced hikers, which will make it enjoyable for a wide number of people. I can see where this property will be much more popular than the land that is proposed and exchanged. The next thing that has been brought up is that swapping parkland has never been done before. I found several instances where this, in fact, has been done in order to build houses. Earlier this year, it was done in Boca Raton, Florida, and Holland, Michigan. In 2001, it was done in Middleton, Connecticut. Two others were one in Illinois, one in California, but they weren't for residential development. In California, it was for a winery. Last week, I had dinner with my brother-in-law, who is retired from the National Forest Service. And I learned that one of his functions with the federal government was to assist in the practice of land swaps. And land swaps in national forests. In one instance, a land swap was proposed with a homeowner. He owned property in the national forest for the building of a road through the forest. So, I mean, as you can see, land swapping of land is not an uncommon or unusual occurrence.
Allow him to speak, please. He gave you your opportunity, please. Continue, Mr. Manganelli.
Thank you. Lastly, I've taken into consideration that this is a park. I've gone back and forth with this, and I keep coming back to that is the back portion of the park that is underutilized. Yes, some people walk their dogs back there. On occasion, people do walk their dogs back there. I have learned that. Also leading, but I will say there will be plenty of land left for people to walk dogs in the parkland. There's 30 acres left plus. I grew up within a mile or two of Coke Park. I went to the original pool that was built in Coke Park. I would play on the playground when I was little, played basketball and tennis when I got older. I ran cross country one season in high school for Hazelwood West, and we would run from Hazelwood West to Coke Park and through the park, but we would never cross the creek. We never ran to the back of the park. Of course, that's 40 years ago. So anyway, but 2 weeks ago, I finally went to the back of the park for the first time in my life. I never went there for the free mulch that was back there. But I came to realize that the land we stand to gain is much more picturesque than the ground in the back of Coke Park. I can see the land we are gaining getting much more use than the land at the back of Coke Park. Lastly, we are going to have a net gain in parkland of 12 acres. So this is a gain and not a loss in parkland overall. I would like to close with, I've been hearing that this project was sprung up on the residents at the last minute. I've been approached for more than 6 months about houses being built in the back of Coke Park. I was unable to comment at that time, but the word was out 6 months ago.
Order, please.
Yeah.
Order, please, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Order, please.
So, a couple of years ago, this project came out of discussions during our comprehensive plan study, where residents were invited to and did participate in the process. The using of the rear section of Coke Park for a housing development was proposed during the exploratory process of the plan and available for residents to comment on it. After the comment portion of the process was completed, the development of Coke Park recommendation was still part of the comprehensive plan. The residents of Florissant got a chance to voice their opinion back then. Also, the comprehensive plan calls for no building of homes in other parts. And I will just say these are the facts that will influence my vote tonight. Thank you.
Mr. O'Donnell.
A law was made a distant moon ago here. July and August cannot be too hot. And there's a legal limit to the snow here in Camelot. The winter is forbidden till December and exits March the 2nd on the dot. By order, summer lingers through September in Camelot. Camelot. I know it sounds a bit bizarre, but in Camelot, that's how conditions are. The rain may never fall until after sundown. By 8, the morning fog must disappear. In short, there's simply not a more congenial spot for happily ever aftering than here in Camelot. Now you might say, Tom, you're being naive. That's a fairy tale. Are you sure? Are you certain? Now, we certainly have a lot of problems. But what if there's something better? Something to strive for in Camelot? With this proposal, much has been said. Much information has been provided. Now, let me tell you what I think. I hate change. I loathe change. Sometimes change happens. My wife and I were widowed some 23 years ago. Neither one of us wanted change. We subsequently found each other and knew great blessings came. Sometimes we might have a job change by our own desire, or maybe that's been determined by others. And it leads us to something completely different. Lots of different changes happen. In my life, change has been hard and overwhelming, something I didn't want. But ultimately, most times, it brought me to something better, if not a new purpose. Sometimes when something new comes up, we mentally put up fences with Fences, sure, they keep things out. But the problem is they don't let things in. I spent 40 years as a medical professional, as a pharmacist. And after retiring, I felt a calling. For the last 6 years, I've been a licensed funeral director. I've been on this council now for about a year. It hardly qualifies me as a politician. In my time as a pharmacist, I encountered many people struggling with illness, both acute, that is in the short term, or the chronic, long term. Why do they need a prescription for medicine? Medicines have side effects, and yet the potential for great benefit. So we weigh the potential downside to the potential benefits and make a choice. Now, I'll tell you this. This choice could be wrong. It could be the wrong one to make. It could be a failure or just bad, as some people think. But I don't think so. This has been studied, debated, pros and cons have been weighed, and I see limitless possibilities for a greater good that will ultimately make us healthier as a community. Now, this vote creates a dilemma in the burden of responsibility. In a position like this, a decision weighs on you. In my case, more than one sleepless night. Does an individual do what they want, what the loudest voice wants? Or do you consider a bigger picture of what is compared to what can be? The best things in life require hard work, but work can serve a greater purpose than most of us realize. With all my heart, I believe we have an opportunity to work hard at something that is worth doing and that a greater good will come out of it with a plethora of benefits. In this last year on the council, I've learned many things. Let me share one of them with you. I've seen this group and this mayor and the work they put in. They are knowledgeable, intelligent, precise, and fair. In short, they care. I've seen how hard they work and how carefully they discern all matters that come before them. I've seen this mayor work 12, 14 hours a day, and all he does is strive to preserve, protect, and advance our city and community. We have a diversity of people and of opinion. We celebrate both. We know that we have differences in what we do or how we do something. I feel it's most important to see those differences just as differences and not as threats. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of our city, in short, there's simply not a more congenial spot for happily ever aftering than here in Florissant. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. Mr. Parson.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to thank all of you that have come to the council meetings.
Order, please.
First of all, I would like to thank all of you that have come to the council meetings and have used your right to be heard on this particular issue. Although there may be some disagreement, it is clear that everyone has expressed their love for this community, and they want to look out for the city's best interests. In my opinion, the expression of different viewpoints makes our city better. I, as well as my colleagues, have taken everyone's perspective into consideration, and unfortunately, there will continue to be some division on this issue. I've done my due diligence in looking at the pros and cons of this land swap proposal. I've been to Coke Park on many occasions over the years, and I am familiar with that parcel of land. A park like Coke Park adds great value to the city of Florissant and is a great investment for our residents. Additionally, I've recently viewed the Love parcel of land and hiked part of the trails that are there. From what I've seen, there are different levels of trails on the property where some are challenging and then there are some that are not challenging. I can definitely confirm that the video shown by our Economic Development Director at our last meeting is authentic, not computer generated, and is not a trail from another park. Comparing the value of the land of parcels would be a challenging effort, and appraisals would not tell the complete story on if what is proposed would be a fair trade for the city. This situation, in my opinion, is unique and can't adequately be compared because there are various factors that can influence the value of the properties as would there be in a typical appraisal. I'm not certain if there is a way to truly measure the value of the potential financial impact that this new development may have on this city. Florissant is a beautiful community, but unfortunately we're lacking in new residential construction. Until just recently, the city had consistently been losing population as shown by the U.S. Census, and I believe that the lack of new residential construction plays a factor. This new residential construction that's being proposed could possibly help increase the city's population and keep the number of our residents on the incline rather than on the decline. Additionally, this new construction could help increase the value of our homes that are nearby. The most compelling part of this proposal to me is that we will continue to offer substantially the same amenities of Coke Park, even though the size of the park will be smaller. Additionally, we will be adding the Love property as an extension to Sunset Park. From what I have seen, the Love property has great potential for hiking, mountain biking, developing new pavilions, and it also includes the beautiful landscape of the Missouri River. There will also be a new trail provided to the city as well as development of the new archery range that will save the city a substantial amount of money. Although there is never any certainty in this type of situation, ultimately I believe that this is a win-win for the city of Florissant. Therefore, I'll be voting in favor of this land swap. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parson. Mr. Shildroff.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen and residents of the city of Florissant, when I first began my political journey to become a member of this city council in 2003, I spent quite a bit of time talking to the residents of Ward 5 about a wide variety of topics. The usual concerns dominated most conversations: street repair, snow removal, traffic challenges, and in 2003, the hot button issue was the possible first-time use of a tax increment financing tool to redevelop the Cross Keys Shopping Center. This project had its supporters and detractors in the community, but in the end, the majority of the Florissant City Council saw the need and importance to redevelop a blighted piece of property to reestablish this shopping center to become the anchor commercial development location in Florissant. I think the same can be said about the McBride project we have before us tonight. This administration and the City Council recognizes the need and importance of a major housing development project. The subject of the lack of new housing stock was evident in those conversations I had with residents back in 2003 and has continued today. We have a new challenge in front of us today with housing that was spelled out in the comprehensive plan very clearly. While there may be some controversy again in the moment, in the end, I feel this will be the best. Just like the Cross Keys redevelopment, to help Florissant continue to grow and move forward. The city of Florissant, through annexations and smaller housing developments such as Riley Place, Lowry Estates, and Parkside Estates, have provided a small addition to the newer housing stock options. The McBride project utilizes the land the city of Florissant will never be able to develop or use in a park setting facility in exchange for a larger portion of property that has the strong potential to connect other destination locations for walking, jogging, and cycling enthusiasts. In closing, I think it's quite ironic that this project couldn't have come to fruition without the property being sold by the owner, Andy Love. Another member of the family and property owner, Christy Love, doesn't agree with the sale or the use of land in this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shildroff. In 2020, the city embarked on a project to develop a comprehensive plan that is designed to guide elected officials and staff in pointing the city and piloting the city for the next 30 years. This plan is intended to be used in part, but not wholly, as one, a guide to future land use decisions, two, as an outline for public facility decision, and number three, and most importantly, a call for action. Specifically in this call for action is a network of bicycle and pedestrian facilities and a comprehensive sustainability program. In other words, this 10-month study was not only to serve as a guide for us to flourish as a community, but more importantly, to sustain. This study involved numerous workshops and meetings with elected officials, city staffs, stakeholders in the Florissant community. One of the target groups was a mayor's steering committee, which included 40 members of the community to include elected officials, business and religious leaders, and most importantly, everyday citizens. This 184-page document covers a myriad of issues, challenges, opportunities, possibilities, and recommendations. Interestingly enough, two of the 10 key issues in this study are addressed in the third paragraph of the introduction and are an integral part of this bill. These two issues, specifically named in the report, were a lack of newer and larger houses appealing to younger families looking to upgrade their lifestyle and the need for greenway spaces. Younger families, over the last 2 decades, have had to move to communities such as St. Charles, O'Fallon, and Wentzville, Missouri, in order to find housing that accommodates the desire and the need to have 4 bedrooms, multiple bathrooms, and multi-car garages. Listen closely. Florissant has an aging housing stock, with the average home being built in 1960 and being 1,200 square feet in size. In 1996, my wife and I were faced with similar issues. Our home being built in 1968 measured out at 900 square feet. We had 3 growing daughters and only a single bathroom in the house and a carport. We had 3 couples who were friends of ours in similar situations. All 3 of these families moved their houses to from Florissant to Baldwin, O'Fallon, and St. Charles in order to accommodate their growing family. All 3 sets of these parents were born and raised in Florissant and lamented having to leave their hometown. My wife and I were actively looking in these communities and nearly purchased a home. My wife's father was diagnosed with a life-ending disease that would require him to be monitored for the remainder of his life. He wanted to spend his final days in Florissant as his children and extended family all lived in the North County area. We opted to add a master bedroom and bath and living room and 2-car garage onto our dwelling. We were fortunate because we had a larger lot that allowed us to accomplish this. If not for this, I would be in St. Charles County today. Additionally, the city of Florissant lacks available land to create the housing that is needed. Another huge concern of the plan is the lack of greenway spaces designated for hiking and biking. We have had great but limited success with Great Rivers Greenway organization in creating a hiking path from St. Bernard and Sunset Park. Communities that have been developed over the last 2 decades in other counties focus on these types of pathways in and around their community, many of whom have such pathways that link to other subdivisions or other city pathways. Recreation in today's world is much different when I grew up in the 60s and 70s. Coincidentally, this is when the Florissant parks and recreation facilities were experiencing a boom. A great example of this is handball court at Coke Park. There was a time when handball was a very popular sport. I've never in 55 years been in and around Coke Park seen a single handball game played. One of the most significant ideas that the comprehensive plan addresses is Coke Park. The two properties in question, Coke Park and the Love property, are essentially the same, as neither one is being used or severely underused as we meet here tonight. But they are very different in appearance. Coke Park. First and foremost, the city is not ceding 1 inch of park space. The fact of the matter is we're gaining, albeit a different nearly 13 acres of park space, we are gaining 13 acres of park space. A conservation area, if you will. Coke Park is one of the gems in our park system. We are building our third aquatic center to pair with a current splash pad. The playground areas have all been renovated with new playground equipment. The baseball and soccer fields are in great shape and will continue to be used for years to come. The JFK Center is undergoing a state-of-the-art renovations to include a new event center for wedding receptions and other banquets, as well as a senior center. This proposed plan includes a builder-funded walking path for everyone in the city to use. The western portion of Coke Park is the same today as when we acquired it. It was used to fly an occasional kite or a yearly cross-country meet. Without a doubt, it is underused, or in comparison with other facilities, rarely used. The comprehensive plan specifically lays out that the western part of Coke Park should be repurposed. It offers a couple of plans, one of which is making this land available for the housing that is sorely needed. The City Council just adopted a PDR for this area, which allows us to mandate certain aspects considering housing developments, to include lots and residential sizes. This way we can make sure that the needs that we have are being met by proposed developments. The Love property. This is the area that we are receiving the proposed swap, has been owned for decades by the Love family. The same family that once owned the property where the Pleasant Hollow subdivision sits today. They sold it to a developer who proposed a swap with us. The proportion that we are receiving includes an additional 1,500 feet of Missouri River frontage, as well as Love property. St. Louis County maps from the 50s showed that the property on the lower level of this tract was once used for farming, with the road that allowed the equipment needed for plowing, planting, and harvesting the farmed area to be brought in and out as needed. I've heard many people say you cannot build homes on bluff properties. I suggest that you go to Maryland Heights, Eureka, Innsbrook, or Lake the Ozarks, where you will see that builders can and do build these homes on bluffs. I can assure you that if and when the developer wanted to build homes on this bluff, we would have tons of people fighting to preserve the very 43 acres that we are going to save here tonight. Our hope is that this property, which is different from any other park property that we have in Florissant, will be a regional destination for hiking and biking. This property will be ready for hiking and biking the day we take possession. The city has been in talks with entities that create trails, and our hope one day that current Sunset Park Trail is expanded, connect to Coke Park, and who knows, maybe beyond. Regardless, with minimal upgrades, we can and will make this a unique and usable recreation option. My wife and I, Kelly, were sitting on the patio recently. We have just completed our 35th wedding anniversary, and we were trying to figure out how we made it so long. We know that most marriages end in divorce. So what exactly is about us that was different? Why did we make it when most couples don't? Couples will commonly tell you that they simply grew apart. We finally decided that's not true. People don't grow apart. Kelly and I were both able and, more important, willing to adapt to the challenges and opportunities that life presented us. Oftentimes one of us, or neither one of us, wanted the decision we made, but ultimately tough decisions were best for our lives and for our family. I am reminded of once great cities that are now a mere shell of themselves, one in particular that I will not mention by name. It once had the most respected police department in all of the county. It was a mecca for shopping, with not one but two major shopping complexes. Their housing stock, much like ours, was post-World War II, and they are, like us, landlocked. Today, they contract out police services. Their population continues to dwindle as families leave. Most times you hear them mentioned in the news, unfortunately has a negative connotation. I wonder out loud if the city leaders in this city had adhered and adapted a 30-year plan, in spite of the sometimes painful reality that change can bring, if they would be in the position they are today. Ultimately, we make bold, forward-thinking, and maybe scary decisions, or we sit pat, doing nothing, and slowly slide into the abyss. Thank you. I will now call for the question.
All right, where are we at here? Okay. Shildroth?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Pagano? Parson? Yes. Siam? Yes. Harris? Yes. Manganelli? Yes. Egan?
Yes.
Caputa.
Bill number 9917 passes and becomes ordinance number 8922. 8922. Bill number 9918. Councilman Manganelli moves for a second reading. That is seconded by Mr. Harris. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to transfer ownership of a portion of Coke Park property consisting of approximately 31.94 acres to Coke Park Development LLC, provided that the city receives in return a parcel of land adjacent to Sunset Park consisting of approximately 43.7 acres to be used as parkland.
Mr. Caputa makes a motion for a third reading. That is seconded by Mr. Shildroth. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to transfer ownership of a portion of Coke Park property consisting of approximately 31.94 acres to Coke Park Development LLC, provided that the city receives in return a parcel of land adjacent to Sunset Park consisting of approximately 43.7 acres to be used as parkland.
Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience who has not already spoken that would like to speak on this bill? Mr. Matley, I believe, step up and state your name, please.
Matley's on.
Sir, if Mr. Matley, if you'll speak in and restate your name.
Dave Matley. Okay. Those trails and down there, Florissant kids have been playing on those trails for over 60 years. I mean, who do you think made those trails? So I don't know why we need the city of Florissant to own them, because we've been using that land for a long time. The reason that this deal leaves a bad taste in my mouth is because McBride has got 43 acres that they can't use, that's useless to them, and it's probably a liability to them, because they have to pay taxes on that land, and they got a bunch of kids down there playing on it, so they have to have some insurance. What I propose is that why don't we wait a couple of years, and when that land is being sold at a tax sale, we can pick it up for pennies on the dollar. So I think, it's a sweet deal for McBride, not so sweet for us. If it was 1,000 acres of bottom land down there, it'd make it a whole lot different. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Mr. McMichael, I think you've been wanting to speak to us this evening, and just state your name for the record, and the floor is yours, sir.
Yes, thank you. My name is Zach McMichael. I'm an attorney at the law firm of Cape Sokol in Clayton. I'm here on behalf of Mary Christine Love to speak on her behalf. I'm appearing today to ask one of you to have the courage to make a motion to table this ordinance or this bill and the next bill on the agenda. I think you've heard tonight there's a lot of people that are very upset. I believe that while there's always going to be dissent, that the best way to move forward is to bring in as many people as possible. I don't think that people necessarily think that there's something corrupt happening, but they don't think they've been given the transparent information that they feel they're entitled to. I think that can be easily cured with another 30 days for you to talk to people, to get more buy-in, and to do more research. I've provided all of you with 11 sales that were researched by a licensed appraiser, and I just wanted to talk about those 11 sales quickly. So sales 9 and 10 are mostly open land, and if you compare those to sales 1 through 6 and 11, which are nearly all wooded or partially flood zone, you'll see that open land up in this part of North County normally sells for double land that has negative attributes such as being mostly wooded or being in floodplains, the Coke Park land is clearly worth at least double the property that McBride is offering you. But if you look at sale number 7 sold for $72,000 per acre. It's 5 acres of building lots. You'll see the listings in there. It's advertised as building lots. That's what this portion of Coke Park is worth. If you compare that to something like sale number 8, you'll see this property, Coke Park, is probably worth 4 times the property that McBride is offering you after accounting for the difference in acreage. I think that if Florissant needs newer housing stock, that's fine. That's your determination to make. But you need to make a good deal for Florissant. And I think if you put this on the open market to home builders, you'd find that you'd get a better deal. And I think that you need to take the time and table this so you can make that expiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McMichael. And thank you, Mr. McMichael. And once again, welcome to the city of Florissant. Anyone else wishing to speak on this bill? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Is there a hand raised? Is that Ms. Wilson? You've already spoken, ma'am? We've already spoken this evening. We discussed that earlier. Go ahead, ma'am.
Shildroth?
Yes.
O'Donnell?
Yes.
Pagano? Parson?
Yes.
Siam?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Manganelli?
Yes.
Egan?
Yes.
Caputa?
Yes.
Bill number 9918 passes and becomes ordinance number 8923. Bill number 9919. Councilman Manganelli moves for a second reading. That is seconded by Mr. Siam. Is there any discussion? Mr. Caputa?
Thank you, Mr. President. I wasn't going to speak on this because basically we're all in agreement with what's happening here. What I would like to say is the path that's proposed that's going to go around this subdivision is going to be almost a quarter-mile long, 10-foot wide. If you know what and a concrete paved path. So is anybody familiar with concrete? That's a lot of concrete and very expensive path that they're putting around this subdivision that the developers are doing. And we are not, if we would do this on our own, it would be well over $500,000 with this, well over $500,000 with this path that this developer is putting it in. So this path is going to go, it's open to the public. I mean, it's going to go around the subdivision and connect all these trails that we have plans of doing. So I will be supporting this. Well, I have been all night, but I will support the rest of it. So the path is a good idea. Like I said, if anybody that knows concrete out there and how expensive it is, figure out the math, do the math. It is a very expensive project that the builder is putting in on their own. So, thank you. That's all I have.
All in favor of the second reading? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance to rezone the property located at 2300 Charbonnier, Lot B, from R4 Single Family Dwelling District to PDR Planned Development Residential District.
Mr. O'Donnell makes a motion for a third reading. That is seconded by Mr. Shildroth. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance to rezone the property at 2300 Charbonnier Road, Charbonnier, Lot B, from R4 Single Family Dwelling District to PDR Planned Development Residential District.
Mr. Hessel, did you have comments you wanted to add to the record, please?
I do, Mr. President. I would ask that all the comments that were made with respect to bills 9915, 9916, 9917, 9918, and if there's any more with respect to 9919, that they all be made part of the record and applicable to all of those respective bills. I know some comments were made, for example, with respect to Bill 9915, which dealt with the rezoning, but the comments really addressed the transfer of the property. So I want the record to be clear that those comments are all part of the record, and they'll be considered with respect to each individual bill. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before the final vote is taken, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this bill? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson.
Continue. We've already called for the question. Please continue, ma'am.
Siam. Harris. Manganelli. Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Bill number 9919 passes and becomes ordinance number 8924, 8924.
Parson, sorry. Did I miss you? Sorry. I got confused.
Are we clear on the vote, ma'am?
We're good. Do we want to do that again? Okay.
It was,
We're good. Okay.
let the record reflect on this vote. It was 9 ayes and 0 nays.
Yes, sir.
New business. Board appointments. Mayor Lowry.
Thank you. I wish to appoint Cynthia Bauer to the Environmental Quality Control Commission.
Mr. Caputa makes a motion to approve. That is seconded by Mr. Parson. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The appointment shall be made.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Bills for first reading. Bill number... Oh, excuse me. I apologize. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is bill request. Councilman Siam moves to accept the application to transfer special use permit number 8486 Brennan's Bar and Grill, LLC, to Happy Homes 314 LLC, DBA Brennan's Bar and Grill, for the operation of a restaurant located at 1740 Thunderbird. That is seconded by myself. Discussion, please. I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules to bring the petitioner forward.
Second.
A motion has been made to suspend the rules. Has been seconded by Mr. Shildroth. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good evening, sir. If you'll step up to the... if you'll state your name, sir.
How you doing? My name is Keith Williams. How everybody doing? Ladies, gentlemen. I am going to be taking over Bremen's, and basically I'm going to keep it running the same way. This is not, and I repeat, a bar of nightclub, R&B, and all that. This is a restaurant. Yes, it will be a bar, and it'll be a Happy. My company name is Happy, as you see. But I'm going to change the morning hours. I want to introduce breakfast to it after doing my marketing. From Halls Ferry and Lindbergh all the way down Lindbergh's, no breakfast whatsoever. And I do want to introduce that, which may change my hours, maybe from 7 to 10:30 in the morning, and going to lunch after that, but no changes whatsoever. I'm keeping the staff. Julie and Rafa has really helped me out, and I like it. It's a happy home. And I will invite all y'all out. Come out and get some chicken and food and stuff like that. I'm sure you all know who Judy is. She loves to cook.
Mr. Caputa, do you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, Keith, welcome. Have you ever been in a restaurant or bar business before, or had any other?
Not in the business, but yes, I have run businesses, yes.
You have been in the
nightclub and restaurants, yes, sir.
In the city of Florissant?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Where was that located?
I'm sure you know who Al's Lounge is.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir. I'm one of his managers for his other bars, too. Yes, he has Top Shelf Bar and Grill and Al's Lounge, yes.
Okay. Well, good. Welcome. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Manganelli?
Actually, Mr. President, my question's been answered.
All right, I see no further council questions or comments. Thank you very much, sir. We have a motion on the floor that is seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the request is granted. Bills for first reading. Bill number 9920.
Ordinance to amend special use permit number 8595 to issue to Latte Lounge LLC to allow for the expansion of a sit-down carry-out coffee shop in an existing B3 extensive business district for the property located at 2188, 2190 North Waterford.
Mr. Siam makes a motion for a second reading. That is seconded by Ms. Pagano. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance to amend special use permit number 8595 to issue to Latte Lounge LLC to allow for the expansion of a sit-down carry-out coffee shop in an existing B3 extensive business district for the property located at 2188 2190 North Waterford.
Mr. Siam moves for a third reading. That is again seconded by Ms. Pagano. Roll call vote, please.
Shildroth.
Yes.
O'Donnell. Yes. Pagano. Yes. Parson. Yes. Siam. Harris. Yes. Manganelli. Yes. Egan.
Yes.
Caputa. Yes. Ordinance to amend special use permit number 8595 issued to Latte Lounge LLC to allow for the expansion of a sit-down carry-out coffee shop in an existing B3 extensive business district for the property located at 2188 2190 North Waterford.
Before the final vote is taken on this bill, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson. Yes. Siam. Yes. Harris. Yes. Manganelli. Yes. Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Bill number 9920 passes and becomes ordinance number 8925, 8925. Bill number 9921.
Ordinance authorizing a transfer of special use permit number 8486 from Brennan's Bar and Grill LLC to Happy Homes 314 LLC, DBA Brennan's Bar and Grill, for the operation of a restaurant located at 1740 Thunderbird.
Mr. Caputa moves for a second reading. That is seconded by Mr. O'Donnell. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance authorizing transfer of special use permit number 8486 from Brennan's Bar and Grill LLC to Happy Homes 314 LLC, DBA Brennan's Bar and Grill, for the operation of a restaurant located at 1740 Thunderbird.
Mr. O'Donnell makes a motion for a third reading. That is seconded by Mr. Caputa again. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Shildroth.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Pagano. Yes. Parson. Yes. Siam. Yes. Harris. Yes. Manganelli. Yes. Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Ordinance authorizing transfer of special use permit number 8486 from Brennan's Bar and Grill LLC to Happy Homes 314 LLC, DBA Brennan's Bar and Grill, for the operation of a restaurant located at 1740 Thunderbird.
Before the final vote is taken on this bill, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make comment? Seeing none, clerk, please poll the council.
Shildroth.
Yes.
O'Donnell.
Yes.
Pagano. Parson. Yes. Siam. Yes. Harris. Yes. Manganelli. Yes. Egan.
Yes.
Caputa.
Yes.
Bill number 9921 passes and becomes ordinance number 8926, 8926. Council announcements. Mr. Manganelli.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will defer to others here to say how great the Fall Festival was yesterday. A somewhat smaller festival took place last week, the Italian Festival, and our first year was a big success. So I thank everybody that came out for that. There was a lot of good food and entertainment had by all. And everybody should save the date, 9/28/2024.
Too soon.
And I will not be talking about this every week, though, so don't worry. But, yeah, mark your calendars, 9/28 for 2024. Thank you.
Mr. Siam.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one brief announcement. Tomorrow evening, 6:30 p.m. in the Egan Center, Mr. Parson and I will be holding a joint ward meeting for wards 8 and 9. You should have received invitations in the mail already. Mayor Lowry and other members of the administration will be present as well, so please bring your issues and concerns, and we're looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Siam. I'll go with Mr. Harris next.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. I thank everyone for being here tonight and all the comments for and against the topic we talked about. I wanted to just say what a great day it was. Saw a lot of you actually at the festival on Sunday, yesterday. The Fall Festival was amazing, and as always, there was a great turnout. A lot of different people there, not just from Florissant, but from other places as well. And I want to say congratulations to the Hazelwood School District on building brand new turf fields at all 3 high schools. I know some of them are still being worked on, but I've connected to a lot of people at Hazelwood West, and it was really cool. I wasn't there myself, but to see some of the video from that game and the features of that field is something that hasn't been in North County in a long time, and there's a lot of excitement around what the city is doing, the progress we're making, but also some progress that our school districts are making as well. And I think that's it. I think we just have to keep moving forward and do that together. Thank you for being here this evening.
Mr. Caputa?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I'd like to give a little bit of update on the pool and the archery range of what's going on. As of right now, basically, the demolition of Banger Pool is probably 90% finished, complete. And water park over in Coke Park, that is going very good. It's going probably ahead of schedule. Last time I talked to their superintendent, they were on schedule. That's been a few weeks ago. We have had some nice weather. So if this nice weather keeps up, that would be totally, again, it will be ahead of schedule. So hopefully, everybody cross their fingers on the weather. If the weather cooperates with us, we will have these pools finished ahead of schedule. They have some concrete poured, so they're getting ready to actually start doing the structures of the walls and everything. So everything is coming together and everything is on track. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caputa. I'm going to let the mayor talk, give all the accolades, if you will, about the Fall Festival yesterday. I know he has a ton of people to thank, including the lovely lady to my right up here who was on the committee and all the committee members. I do want to say that Mr. Podleski said earlier that no one would want to live in the west side of Florissant. I've lived there for the last most of my life, and I disagree with Mr. Podleski. If you came out yesterday, as I know, Mr. Tinker was out there yesterday, and Mr. Bauman was out there yesterday, and just so many people in the streets. The streets were literally 20 people deep from Florissant Road all the way down through the car show at the Home Association grounds. It was absolutely a beautiful day of community. The chief tells me there was absolutely zero problems yesterday, and I want to just tell everyone how much I truly love this city, and I'm thankful for the festivals and the events and the people that we have as neighbors. Your Honor?
Yeah, certainly want to thank everybody for the Fall Festival and all the plans that went on. Karen did a great job. Karen Goodwin did a great job. Of course, Jessica with Old Town Partners, she's with us this evening. She did a wonderful job, and that committee did a great job. And bringing so many people together here in the city of Florissant is so important for us, as we try to do with all of our festivals. And this is definitely one of the best festivals in the city. Of course, we have the other big festival in town is the Valley of Flowers, which is in the first week in May, which the committee there does a wonderful job. And so certainly appreciate all the work that's done to bring our community together. Just a couple other things I wanted to mention. This Friday, which by the way is Friday the 13th, the Florissant firefighters and the Florissant Police Department have decided to bring a haunted house to Florissant, and that will be at 111 St. Francis Street, and that will be from 5 to 6 p.m. It's going to be kid friendly. From 6 to 9, I think the chief comes out and it gets pretty scary then. So that I just also want to remind everybody that our next big event that's coming to the city of Florissant is, of course, our Veterans Day Parade, and the Florissant Veteran of the Year will be honored. That's going to be on November the 5th. The parade will start at 1 o'clock at Banger Park. It'll come up Florissant Road to St. Francis, and it'll end at the VFW post. And it's always a great day to honor our veterans, because we have so many veterans in our community. And I think it's the right thing that we do, is make sure that we honor them like no other city does. Thank you all for coming tonight.
The next meeting of the Florissant City Council will be October 23rd, 2023 at 7 p.m. Mr. Cyan makes a motion to adjourn this meeting. That is seconded by Mr. Manganelli. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the council shall stand adjourned. Thank you.